Hello everyone and welcome back to MixBest TV mixing and mastering tutorials on YouTube. I'm your host David and we are back with a very simple but effective mixing trick. Before we start, please don't be pissed at me if this is not the be-all end-all of 3D positioning techniques like the title would suggest. Jokes aside, in stereo recordings we have left to right, easy, our pan knob. But way more difficult is to position elements somehow in a 3D space, not just left to right, but also front to back. And while nowadays there are 3D positioning plugins, there's one very simple processor that we can use to achieve really cool results. And that is simply EQ, equalization. Because frequency content is one of the factors that tells our brain where an element comes from, how far or close is to us. And very often using EQ as a tool to position elements gets overlooked. So today I'm going to show you how you can easily build a 3D positioning matrix. I couldn't come up with a better name, sorry. Using stock plugins to have in your session, a matrix that you can have in your session and use it whenever you need it and experiment with it with every element in your mix, really. For this example, we're going to use guitars, but this could be anything, vocals, percussion, synths, and so on. And this is the way I personally use this method, which involves having one reverb shared by many elements. So things sound in the same space, but in different positions, as we'll see in a second. Both left and right, but also front to back. The reverb is not mandatory though, that's just me. You can use the matrix by itself and integrate it in your session according to your methods and taste. So let's get to it. So for this example, we have 4 guitar tracks. It's a double take, so we have 2 microphones on the left, 2 microphones on the right. These 4 purple tracks. They are summed for some processing in this aux guitar to sum, and then they go to this black aux here, which is one of my output groups for this mix, called second guitars. So for this example, I'm basically gonna use a stereo guitar track. You can do it with mono tracks too, and we're gonna take a look at that later. But for the sake of simplicity, we are gonna use this bus, this stereo guitar track here. Now the concept is to be able to create a simple matrix that allows you to do one of the most difficult things in mixing, which is positioning things in 3D, in space, front to back, and also, in this case, left to right. So in order for me to make this more apparent, easier for you to listen, to understand the concept, I am using a reverb, an ambience reverb here. It's the stock Pro Tools Deverb. We are using the ambient algorithm, but it's just an example. The reverb, the ambient in particular, makes the effect more effective for me, but you can use the matrix that I'm showing you to position things even without reverb, or when you send to some other effects like delay or saturation, something like that. So starting from our output guitar bus, let's listen to it. So simple stereo electric guitar melody. So we take this stereo track, the second guitar output track where all the 4 guitars come out from, and we send them to, in this case, we are just looking at the stereo version of this matrix, 1, 2, and 3 auxes called left dark, left bright, and boxed. These yellow tracks here are auxes. And for each one, we assign the input, left dark, left bright, and boxed. And on each one, we put a simple EQ. And when using stereo, this EQ is gonna be dual mono. Let's take a look at the left dark. The link channel is not engaged, and we have a low pass filter, whatever corner frequency you decide to pick. Okay, this here is around 500, for example. On the right channel, there's nothing. If we take a look at the left bright, we have the opposite. The left channel has nothing, and the right channel has the low pass EQ. The boxed is boxed. So the whole bandwidth is limited with high pass and low pass filters, okay? The output of these auxes, the yellow auxes, are going to our ambience, which is another aux, where there is our ambient reverb. And like I said, the reverb is not necessary. It just makes this effect more obvious, more effective. And the dark and the bright auxes here are mono. So it's the same concept if you want to use this trick with mono tracks. One is dark, one is bright, just using filters. But since we are going with a stereo track now, we are just gonna use these 3 stereo auxes here. So basically what we are doing is we are sending our guitars to a filter matrix before hitting the reverb. And this will position the element either on one side more than the other, or with the boxed more up front or far back. Before hearing the effect of this, let's listen to the guitars with just the ambient, no filtering. So let's send to this and bypass the EQ. Dry. Reverb. This would be straight our guitars into an ambience reverb. By putting our 3D matrix in between these two, that's on bypass, and we are sending to left dark right now. This is the effect. Let's solo the ambience. It's pretty cool, isn't it? It's so simple, and yet it sounds cool even without the dry guitars. If we send it to our left bright, it's gonna be the opposite. Okay, and it sounds natural because we are not muting the other channel. We are just darkening. And EQ is one of the things that tells our brain where something comes from. So this position things in 3D, even if it's just as simple as using a filter on one channel. Let's listen to the boxed. And you can move this around and make it, the other room like, so like very dark. Okay, now let's listen these with the dry guitar. Left dark. Left bright. Boxed. Okay. And if we turn the dry signal down a bit, it's going to be a lot more obvious. It's pretty cool. It's very simple, like I said. And once you have this EQ matrix, basically this 3D positioning matrix, you can send anything to it before hitting whatever you want. Now, the output in this case is sent to this ambience reverb, but you can add sends to these EQ here. these auxes, the left bright, left dark, and you can send vocals to them. I don't know, hi-hats, claps, toms, anything. You have a tom on the right and you want a stereo reverb, but you want it bright on the other side. Then you send it here. So it's just a little simple matrix to just keep in your mix and use it when you want, if you want. Okay, it doesn't take any CPU power because it's just 3 stock EQ. And it's very useful when your mix start to get busy and you have problems positioning things. Try to send things to any of this and things happen, mix opens up and you're able to position things, in a different way than just using pan. Now, one very important thing, if you use the ambience trick like I do, is the reverb has to be dual mono. Because if you put it stereo, this trick is not going to work at all. So if you want to use this dual mono EQing trick for stereo tracks, the reverb or the delay or whatever processing you put at the end of this matrix has to be dual mono, at least in Pro Tools. And same thing for, like I said, the mono tracks. You pan them, you set an EQ there. Again, these yellow tracks are auxes. You set the input with the name and have fun. And that's a wrap. This is it for this video, guys. This was a simple trick, but I hope you liked it. I hope it was somehow useful. If you did like it, please don't forget to click the like button and share the video around. If you have any question, leave your comments down below. Join us on Facebook and Twitter to stay in touch with us and get all the news about the channel, upcoming videos and series, and access to exclusive content. Also, stay tuned for the new studio tour series videos. More gear reviews are coming, and please keep supporting Mixbuzz TV by sharing the videos and spreading the word on blogs, forums, social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.